After President Trump's inauguration as the 47th President of the United States, he immediately began a full-scale struggle with the Chinese Communist Party, and Greenland became one of the greatest hotspots in this fierce competition. After President Trump repeatedly expressed his desire to control Greenland, two accounts suspected of being CCP internet operatives posted photos of former Danish Prime Minister Anders Rasmussen on Chinese social media. They claimed that he said, "Greenlanders are of the yellow race, part of China's Inner Mongolia system." The photos had captions such as, "Greenland belongs to Inner Mongolia," and stated, "Danish Foreign Minister, Greenland can be independent. Greenland is of the yellow race and is descended from the vanguard troops of Genghis Khan's army." Similar claims later spread on X, sparking discussions on whether Greenland would want to return to China. In response to these rumors, the Danish Foreign Ministry stated that the Danish Foreign Minister has never made the claim that Greenland's indigenous people are Mongolian, or that Greenland belongs to Inner Mongolia. The idea that the Danish Foreign Minister wants Greenlanders to recognize their ancestral roots is entirely fabricated, false information. Greenland is the world's largest island, covering 2.16 million square kilometers, with a population of less than 57,000. It enjoys high levels of autonomy under Denmark and has long received economic support from the Danish government. This Arctic island, rich in natural resources and influenced by geopolitical factors, has attracted attention from many countries. As early as 7 years ago, Denmark realized that the Ice Silk Road from the CCP was quietly entangling its overseas territory, Greenland. In early 2018, the CCP released its Arctic Policy White Paper, positioning China as a near-Arctic nation, and including it in the broader framework of the Belt and Road Initiative, specifically the Ice Silk Road. With global warming and the melting of ice caps, the navigation time through Arctic shipping routes has been increasing, making them more important. The Arctic shipping routes include the Northeast Passage and the Northwest Passage. The Northeast Passage runs along Russia's northern coastline, connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The Northwest Passage crosses the islands of northern Canada, linking the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Compared to traditional routes like the Suez Canal and Panama Canal, the Arctic shipping routes can significantly shorten travel time between Eurasian ports. For example, the traditional Suez Canal and Malacca routes from Murmansk in northwest Russia to Ruzhou port in China take 45 days, while using the Northeast Pass only takes 35 days, saving hundreds of thousands of dollars in fuel costs alone. In addition to merchant ships, the Arctic routes also offer new passage options for military vessels, making them one of the key strategic routes in future geopolitical conflicts. Another important point is that the Arctic region holds vast energy and mineral resources, and the Arctic routes provide convenient transport for their extraction and export. Both the Northeast Passage and Northwest Passage require vessels to pass through waters near Greenland. Located between the Arctic Ocean and the North Atlantic, Greenland's unique geographical position makes it a key gateway to the Arctic shipping routes. Additionally, Greenland holds significant military strategic value in the eyes of the CCP due to the presence of a U.S. military base in the northern part of Greenland, in Thule. New Zealand's prominent China expert, Anne-Marie Brady, who has faced multiple threats for exposing the CCP's United Front system, wrote to a Greenland media outlet saying that if the U.S. fires missiles towards China, they will fly over the Arctic. China's missiles would be fired the same way towards the U.S. This requires a well-functioning polar satellite network, and to do so, they must have satellite reception stations both in the Arctic and Antarctic. Martin Broom, a renowned Danish Arctic affairs journalist and author, published an article in April 2018 about whether an airport can be built in Greenland. In the article, Broom discussed the CCP's activities in Greenland in detail. Broom specifically referenced Brady's analysis, which argued that the CCP views polar regions, outer space, and the oceans as new frontiers, which the CCP calls the Space Silk Road and Maritime Silk Road, launching a full-scale power and resource competition. Polar research is a key avenue, and the CCP has rapidly expanded in the Arctic, constructing numerous large research stations in just a few years, surpassing the US and Russia in speed. Broom fully agrees with Brady's analysis and believes the CCP's interest in Greenland serves the same strategic goals, securing resources such as iron, zinc, lead, uranium, and rare earths, and gaining political influence in the Arctic region. In 2013, the CCP signed an agreement with Greenland for mineral exploration. The China Geological Survey has been conducting research there since then. In May 2016, the CCP's core Arctic institution, the State Oceanic Administration, signed a broad agreement with Greenland, covering research and academic exchanges on topics such as geology, sea ice, glaciers, atmospheric physics, environment, and climate. In 2017, the CCP's National Polar Research Institute announced plans to establish a research station in Greenland. The station would cover 2,000 square meters and would be the largest research station in Greenland's history. In May 2017, a group of Chinese tourists met with scientists from the Greenland Institute of Natural Resources to discuss a potential joint project to establish a satellite receiver for climate research. This proposal put Greenland scientists in a difficult position, as the satellite receiver could be used to support the CCP's Beidou navigation system, which competes with GPS and is entirely for military purposes. Miguel Martin, an independent researcher on China issues who is fluent in Chinese and often writes under the pen name Zhichang Lulu, believes one of these tourists was a senior Beidou systems expert and another had a background in the CCP's defense sector. Greenland reporters revealed that Greenland's autonomous government has not been informed of the true identities of these two individuals. The CCP's interest in Greenland's mineral resources has not been a secret. Currently, the China Non-Ferrous Metal Mining Group is involved in a mining project in Citronenfjord in northern Greenland. This project, approved by the Greenland government, involves zinc and iron ore extraction by the Australian company Ironbark, with the CCP's participation helping Ironbark secure necessary investors. Qing Junman, the deputy director of the Overseas Projects Division of China Non-Ferrous, visited the mine in 2017, making it the northernmost mining operation on Earth. In southern Greenland, the CCP-backed Shenghe Resources has required rights to mine uranium and rare earth elements in Narsaq. Since 2016, Shenghe has held a 12% stake in Greenland Minerals and Energy and hopes to mine one of the world's largest rare earth deposits there. However, this project has been controversial. Rare earth minerals are considered strategic minerals, essential for modern industry and military production. Prior to this, the CCP had already controlled about 90% of the global rare earth market. The complex prospects of uranium mining have caused divisions in Greenland and significant disagreements between Greenland and Denmark. Anne-Marie Brady has warned that Denmark has signed global agreements. In a letter to Weekend Weekly, she wrote that Denmark has signed the Wassenaar Agreement, which prevents the export of sensitive goods or technologies. Greenland should be careful not to export proprietary technologies with both civilian and military applications, especially to the CCP, which has not signed the Wassenaar Agreement. In central Greenland, at Isua, the Chinese mining company General Nice holds a well-known iron ore extraction permit. Reports indicate that in 2014, over 2,000 Chinese miners were ready to go to Greenland for extraction, but the project was later postponed, possibly to oversupply in the global steel market. The BBC reported that the CCP often offers infrastructure that many countries urgently need, including airports, roads, and clean water. Greenland has similarly welcomed and expressed gratitude for CCP investment. Former Greenlandic President Kupik Kleist stated that he believes the CCP's involvement is beneficial for Greenland. However, this comes at a steep price. The BBC noted that the CCP can secure many of the raw materials needed by other countries, but Chinese investments do not necessarily create long-term job opportunities for locals. The CCP typically hires Chinese workers, paying them much lower wages than locals. In many countries, the benefits the CCP gains far outweigh any help to local communities. In places like South Africa, there have been complaints that CCP involvement often brings corruption. Moreover, in Greenland, the CCP has exploited the region's development challenges to foster division, secretly supporting Greenland's independence. This has surprised many. While people have been focused on President Trump's recent statements about Greenland's independence, they may have not fully grasped what he truly meant. In March 2018, the global research and analysis website Jamestown Foundation published an article by Martin in the China Brief column. Martin stated that the Greenland government is keen to make China a major investor in mining and infrastructure projects, as well as a key player in tourism and seafood industries, and a future core role in reducing economic dependence on Denmark. He writes, such enthusiasm has not been reciprocated through major investments, although that might be about to change. Chinese companies remain cautious, as the development of the mining industry is hindered by high costs, low commodity prices, and a lack of infrastructure and financial uncertainty. In political contacts, China avoids any signs of support for Greenland's independence, but the topic is now open for academic discussion. In 2017, Denmark's Defense Intelligence Service issued a warning that the CCP's ambitions in the Arctic are so vast that they do not necessarily require a return on investment. From the perspective of Denmark's Defense Intelligence Service, Greenland is a particularly vulnerable link. The strong connection between CCP enterprises and the political system presents a unique risk in Greenland, where the CCP's significant investments are intended to influence the country's society. When the CCP invests in strategic resources, the political pressure and influence involved increase the risks to Greenland. Anne-Marie Brady pointed out that the Greenland government should now review existing laws to ensure that Greenland's government should invest in developing a deep understanding of the CCP and actively investigate the extent to which the CCP has influenced Greenland's politics. The CCP's ambitions in Greenland are not limited to Greenland itself. If the CCP successfully establishes a military base in Greenland, Denmark, Scandinavia, Europe, and even North America could be affected by CCP influence. A report by Denmark's Politiken in mid-October stated that if the CCP gained significant influence in Greenland, it would strengthen the CCP's military power, which is what the United States fears most. John Robert Clemenson, a professor at the Danish Defense Academy, said in an interview that the U.S. is concerned about the CCP's influence on Greenland. They're also worried that the CCP could use Greenland to establish a military base, which would pose a threat to the entire North American region. Robert Clemenson added that Denmark's decision to invest in Greenland's airport was to exclude CCP investment. He explained, from Denmark's perspective, Greenland is an important card in Denmark-U.S. relations. If the Americans are concerned about the CCP, Denmark will also be concerned. Denmark's efforts, along with international attention, helped Greenland's lawmakers see the situation clearly. Greenland's parliament passed a bill for the airport project with funding from Denmark. As Denmark has decision-making power over Greenland's foreign affairs and defense, the Danish government required that other investors in the airport project must gain approval from Denmark. The Danish government is particularly concerned about CCP influence in Greenland, as China Communications Construction Company, one of the chosen bidders for the airport construction project, is involved. Broom points out that the Danish government has at least 4 considerations when handling the issue of Chinese investment in Greenland. 1. Concerns about the CCP gaining too much influence in Greenland. 2. Concerns about Denmark's own interest in China being affected. 3. The need to avoid pushing Greenland into China's hands. 4. Maintaining a strong cooperative friendship with the United States, particularly regarding the U.S. military base in Thule. Danish Prime Minister Rasmussen blocked the purchase of a former Danish naval base in Grenadal, southern Greenland, by the CCP's General Nice Group, citing national security concerns. Since the COVID-19 outbreak in 2019, China's economy has been in steady decline, with domestic consumption and investment taking a significant hit. The most visible effects have been the decline and deterioration of the mainland's livelihood industries. However, China's expansion abroad, particularly projects with military strategic goals, has not completely stopped and is even continuing. This is because, through bribery and corruption in its Belt and Road expansion, the CCP has formed interest communities with local government officials along the route. These corrupt local powers then serve as the CCP's political influence extensions. Even though many governments are now becoming aware of the CCP's expansionist ambitions and true intentions, eliminating the CCP and their influence is not something that can be done overnight. Take the CCP's Ice Silk Road as an example. In recent years, China's activities in the Arctic Circle have only intensified. In an article published in late October 2023, China's National Marine Forecasting Center stated, China has been involved in Arctic affairs for a long time. Since 1925, China joined the Svalbard Treaty, formally starting its participation in Arctic affairs. Since then, China's exploration of the Arctic has deepened. Its activities have increased, and cooperation has expanded. The article listed some of the key events in China's Arctic exploration. In 1951, Gao Shiliu from Wuhan Mapping Institute reached the Earth's North Magnetic Pole to conduct geomagnetic measurements, becoming the first Chinese scientist to enter the Arctic region. In 2004, China established the Chinese Arctic Yellow River Station in the Svalbard Islands. On September 27, 2023, the 13th Chinese Arctic Scientific Expedition Team, organized by the Ministry of Natural Resources, returned to Shanghai aboard the icebreaker Xuelong 2, marking the successful completion of China's 13th Arctic Scientific Expedition. The article mentioned that China's Arctic Policy White Paper outlined four main goals: understanding the Arctic, protecting the Arctic, utilizing the Arctic, and participating in Arctic governance. The article devoted a large portion of space to describing the specifics of utilizing the Arctic and participating in Arctic governance, highlighting the cooperation with Russia in Arctic bilateral affairs, focusing mainly on areas like shipping route construction and energy development. The article also claims that China values deepening Arctic cooperation with other Nordic countries, and its cooperation with Finland, Norway, Iceland, and Sweden is progressing smoothly. The article concludes with a mention of Denmark and Greenland, stating that in recent years, the Danish government has shifted from its previous positive stance on China's participation in Greenland's economic development, and often places restrictions on China's legitimate investments. The reasons for this are, on one hand, concerns about Greenland using Chinese investments to achieve economic independence, and on the other, fears of damaging its alliances with the United States. In fact, President Trump has expressed multiple times during his first term his intention to purchase Greenland from Denmark, but this was rejected by Denmark. After being re-elected, Trump again proposed that the United States should control Greenland. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo stated that the president's proposal to purchase Greenland was no joke, and that acquiring the semi-autonomous Danish territory aligns with America's national interests. Regarding Trump's remarks about acquiring Greenland, former political science professor Ming-Ju Zheng pointed out that while Russia borders China to the north and the Arctic seems unrelated, the CCP had already developed an Arctic strategy years ago and has self-identified as a near-Arctic nation. This is because they recognize the Arctic's high strategic value, including abundant resources like oil, coal, and other minerals. However, military strategic considerations are even more crucial. If the CCP wanted to launch missiles at the U.S., the shortest distance would be through the Arctic. Ming-Ju Zheng further explained that China has set up numerous observation stations in Iceland, Norway, Denmark, and other countries, and has long wanted to purchase the U.S. military's observation base in Greenland. If successful, it could serve as a relay station to precisely calibrate missile trajectories, greatly increasing missile strike accuracy. If China were to launch missiles at the U.S. through the Arctic, it would take only about 20 minutes. If Greenland were controlled by the CCP, Chinese nuclear submarines could launch missiles nearby, and it would take less than 10 minutes to strike the U.S. From the American perspective, energy and rare earths are strategic weapons that the CCP uses to counter America and the free world, and Greenland has too many resources the CCP desires, especially since the CCP aims to use Greenland as a forward base for a potential nuclear strike on the U.S. Recently, CCP internet operatives have suddenly started to push the narrative of Greenland returning to China, possibly because Trump has touched a nerve with the CCP.